by Paul Makovsky, March 15, 2019. As director of the Knoll Planning, Florence Knoll focused on its interior division, and was also the design director and critic for the development and production of the company's furniture, textiles, and graphics. Photo courtesy of Paul Makovsky. On January 25, Florence Knoll Bassett, the architect, space planner, designer, and entrepreneur, passed away at the age of 101. A true visionary, Shu, her nickname based on her maiden name Schust, was one of the most influential architects and designers of post-war America, yet her mark on modern design transcends any one of these fields. Her career is inextricably linked with Knoll Incorporated, the furniture company founded by Hans Knoll, who later became her husband. At Knoll, she was the director of the Knoll Planning unit, focused on its interior division, and was also the design director and critic for the development and production of the company's furniture, textiles, and graphics. The planning unit was the engine of the firm's success, offering a unique service of professional space planning services and original furniture to a growing number of important corporate clients. During the 1940s, when tubular furniture was still the rage, Shu Knoll wanted something more contemporary, so she worked with designers like Eero Saarinen, Harry Bertoya, and Pierre Jeanneret to create designs that fulfilled a need for modern interiors, and along the way produced innovative, high-quality furniture classics that are still relevant today. She once rejected designs by Charlotte Perriand as not contemporary enough. And, as she grew the textiles division of the company, she brought in designers like Noemi Raymond, Astrid Samp, Stig Lindberg, Annie Albers, and Sheila Hicks, just to name a few. Florence Knoll Bassett was born Florence Schust, in Saginaw, Michigan, May 24, 1917, to a family of prosperous bakers and entrepreneurs. While she had a happy upbringing, she was beset by tragedy throughout her early life. Her only brother died at the age of 2, her father died when she was 5, and she became orphaned when her mother died of cancer, the day after Christmas, when she was 14. She ended up at Kingswood and at the Cranbrook Academy of Art in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, where she was taken under the wings of the Saarinen family, and was exposed to a human-centered approach in many design disciplines from weaving, pottery, and furniture to architecture and city planning. At the Architectural Association in London, she originated the now common interior design practice of paste-ups, and with Mies van der Rohe, in Chicago, she was introduced to a rationalist design approach and received her Bachelor of Architecture in 1941. Florence Knoll Bassett, a pioneer architect, interior designer and entrepreneur, died in January at the age of 101. Here she is presenting her designs to her executives at Connecticut General Life Insurance, circa 1950s. Photo courtesy of Paul Makovsky. She started her professional architectural career working with the firm of Marcel Breuer and Walter Gropius, where she worked on the interiors of the Frank House in Pittsburgh, one of the firm's early American masterworks. And after working with designers like Herbert Bayer and Raymond Loewy, she ended up working at Harrison and Abramowitz in New York. Being a woman, I was given interiors, she said. She was introduced to Hans Knoll by the interior designer Anne Hatfield, and started moonlighting for him as a draftsman and eventually joined his company as the director of the Knoll Planning unit, and when his company ran into financial difficulties, she bailed him out, and became co-owner of the company. One of her first projects was to do the interiors for Secretary of War Henry Stimson. It was the first of many government projects, and Shu Knoll would do the interiors such as USO centers, airports, housing for government personnel, embassies and consulates. Some of these projects were classified, so she often never got to see the final look of the project. As these government projects grew, so did the Knoll empire expand. It was an exciting time, but it was mostly hard work. We had to battle the prejudices against contemporary design, she once said. Shu Knoll transformed the field of interior design from interior decoration to spatial architecture, which in the 1950s was almost completely dominated by men. She collaborated with the most important mid-century modern architects, Philip Johnson, Gordon Bunshaft, and Marcel Breuer, designing their interiors, which were rooted in practical needs, based on rigorous space planning, and came to represent her signature Knoll look that would epitomize the style of the 1950s. Designing an interior was more than just specifying furniture and fabrics, and she completed more than 200 projects in university dorms, corporate headquarters, government offices, and even motels. After Hans Knoll died in a car crash in 1955, she became president of the company, and continued to spearhead many innovations, such as the Saarinen pedestal furniture collection, and completed large-scale interior projects for companies like Connecticut General Life Insurance, Heinz and CBS, which exemplified the best in post-war design in the United States. By 1957, she was the single most powerful figure in the field of modern design, and accepted a commission to do the office interiors for bank executive Harry Hood Bassett, who was president of the First National Bank of Miami. The following year she married him, and eventually settled in Miami, where she would go on to design other Miami interiors, including the Southeast First National Bank and the City Club, in addition to several private residences, mostly for herself and family. Hood Bassett was an important civic leader in Miami, and together through the Bassett Family Foundation, they quietly supported important ways of making Miami a better city to live, work, and play in. She campaigned to limit billboards in Miami, was a committed land conservationist, and the Bassett Foundation even supported a Cuban student Rafael de la Sierra to study architecture, in addition to anonymously paying the tuition for many other college students. At the height of her career, after designing thousands of office interiors, she resigned from Knoll in 1965. She was only 48 years old, but it defined the look for corporate interiors during the 1950s and 1960s, profoundly influenced post-World War II design, raised the level of standards and ethics for interior design as a profession, and promoted the open office workspace through a total design approach. Florence Knoll Bassett is one of the most influential architects and designers of post-war America who created the modern profession of interior design in America, and certain standards in the interior design profession that owe a debt to her. The paste-up was an abstraction and collage of the project space, representing the arrangement of groupings of furniture, fabrics, window treatments, as well as an indication of the materials palette that was being proposed. She standardized square swatches of fabrics as samples, and she made designers like Eero Saarinen and Mies van der Rohe famous for their furniture, designs that are today considered classics, along with her own pieces, and still being used today in contemporary interiors. She is one of the few individuals who have received the top honors from all the American professional organizations in architecture and design, AIA, ASID, IDA, and IDSA. She was particularly proud of the 1961 AIA Gold Medal, because two of her peers, Saarinen and Bunshaft, were on the deciding committee, and in 2002, she was awarded the National Medal of Arts, the highest accolade given to artists by the federal government. After Florence Knoll Bassett resigned from Knoll, she became almost reclusive, rejecting most interviews and awards.